As we continue to look at the religions of East Asia, we look today at Shintoism, better known as the way of the kami. Now, this is actually another one of those religions that is a religion, but not. So we'll talk a little bit about that. It's very, very tied to Japanese culture and very tied to their practices and their worldview. The word Shinto is from Shintao, meaning the way of the gods. And once again, it has a reference to Chinese Taoism. You can see Taoism that flows kind of through several of these religions that are in that area. It grew as a nationalistic movement around AD 552 when Buddhism was entering Japan. The Japanese wanted to have a Japanese religion rather than being invaded by only, once again, Buddhism actually was from India originally, but it had flowed through China and was flowing into Japan. So it was originally just the religion of the kami, but it came to be known as the religion of Shintoism. Shinto is an indigenous religion of Japan. It has no official founder. Though it has a couple of sacred texts, it has no orthodox canon of sacred literature. It has no explicit code of ethical requirements. And it is basically a set of religious practices, a set of rituals that people are to follow. And the meanings of many of the elaborate rituals are unknown. They don't even know why they do them. They just know this is what you do. Even the priests and those who practice them will not necessarily know it. Again, in Shintoism, there's really a scarcity of beliefs. They don't have a strict, clearly defined moral code. There's no clear theology of where things come from, where the gods came from, where did these kami come from, or what they want, or anything like that. There's no concept of eschatology, what's going to happen at the end, or what happens to the destiny of men in the world. It has once again, it has very little. It's primarily tied to living your life in this day. Its roots are in animism. The essential principle is that there is a vague cosmic force that exists in the universe, and this vague cosmic force ascribes divinity to the emperor, and also there are supernatural beings that exist. The kami are supernatural beings, but again, there's a lack of clarity about what there are. There is nature worship wrapped up in this, and there's a sun goddess, a moon god, star gods, mist goddess, rain god, sea god, so you can see it's very, very much an animistic religion, but it's kind of an interesting, it's an Eastern take on animism that kind of all flows together. There are numerous gods. The writings state there are 8 times 10,000 of kami, meaning, I guess, 80,000, which that's really very few compared to Hinduism. I mean, they got 30 million going on here. But basically, there's this idea that there are so many kami, so many spiritual beings, that there's so many of them that it's almost meaningless to try to know all of them. They have they have 4 sacred emblems, and if you've ever seen this emblem right here, you may or may not know that you were looking at a Shinto emblem, but this is called the tori, or the bird's rest. It's 2 upright tree trunks with another resting on their top and a horizontal beam below. It actually represents, it symbolically marks the transition from the mundane to the sacred, and so when you pass through this gate, it's a transition out of the mundane life that you're living now into the sacred area that you're going to go into. And they might have it next to a sacred forest or a sacred garden, a lot of sacred gardens. Maybe even a sacred lake or body of water might have one that you enter in to this particular area. Their other emblems are called the gohia, which is a wand of unpainted wood with 2 long pieces of paper that are kind of notched on each side, and it's used to bless or cleanse people and objects that have become unclean, impure. Is really their purity is their idea that they focus on. They have a mirror in each shrine, and it's enshrined as a sacred object representing truth, because the mirror only reflects that which is shown. So there is no untruth in a mirror. Mirrors don't lie. And so mirror is seen as a sacred object. And you can understand, especially back in that day, when this religion came into being, mirrors were not common. And so nowadays we have them everywhere, but it was very, very difficult to create a really effective mirror. So there might be only one, and it would be in the shrine, probably facing one of the gods. And there's also this rope of rice straw that would be in their worship, and it shows the strength of rice straw when bonded together. So rice straw itself is not terribly strong, but when you form it into a rope, it shows the strength of things when things are bonded together. There are 4 affirmations. There's an affirmation of tradition. Every Shinto shrine has its unique set of traditions and has festivals that are performed and rituals from the past and present. So there's the affirmation of tradition doesn't mean an affirmation of here's the 15 ceremonies. It's the affirmation of this shrine. Here are the ceremonies of this shrine, and those ceremonies are passed down from generation to generation. Affirmations of life. In this world, Shinto is a religion of clans and natural relationships. Basically, it's about, Shintoism is about me living with my people, with my clan, with my tribe, with my village. And the land of the dead is shadowy and mystical. There's not much about what happens after death, but there is this concept. But right now, we affirm tradition. We affirm life. The Shinto would say we affirm purity. What is stagnant and decaying and sick are the most impure things. So again, this isn't about death. This isn't about things after they die, but it's about now. It's about purity. What is fresh and lively and bright is pure. And again, this is often Shintoism. The areas where you see Shintoism practiced are just beautiful, beautiful areas, beautiful rivers and streams and forests and gardens. Some of the things that you'd think of as a Zen garden. Often you might look carefully if you think you're in a Zen garden. It may have a Shinto entryway, and you're not really in a Zen garden. You're in a Shinto garden. But Shinto shrines represent pure spaces, and upon entering the shrine, one washes, and the ritual begins with sweeping away the impurity with a green branch. So there's this kind of, we say we affirm purity and life and fresh and liveliness. And the affirmation of festival, Matsuri, is the festivals. There are spring and fall Shinto festivals. It will usually be the most important. They are brought to life with drums and sacred dance and routines. But once again, they don't have a specific meaning for what they do because nobody really knows. They do we do this because this is what we do. And to be Shinto is to do these things. Like I said, the Western mind has real issues with Shintoism. And some would have midsummer festivals that are directed against evil influences in the world as well. Honoring the kami is kind of the foundation of it, but it's also just kind of vague. I mean, how do you honor the kami? Well, the Shinto word this is the Shinto word for the invisible sacred quality. So it's that which evokes wonder and awe in us, and also for the invisible spirits throughout nature that are born of this essence. So the everything of nothing and the nothing of everything is the kami. So it's like, as I said, it's not a very Western religion because none of it makes any sense in our brain. So, but you're supposed to honor the kami, and the kami, they harmonize heaven and earth. They guide the solar system and the cosmos. You can see again a little bit of the Taoism idea flowing through because Shinto adherents feel that they must follow the way of the kami. They follow the kami to bring their lives into harmony with nature. So again, it's all about harmony. It's about honoring the kami and being in harmony and being in the flow of what goes on in the world. So Shintoism is tied to these things. There are over 100,000 Shinto shrines in Japan to honor the kami. These shrines are situated on sites that are thought to have been chosen by the kami themselves for their sacred atmosphere. So, as I said, I have not had the opportunity to attend these, but people who visit a Shinto shrine are always just really impressed by the beauty, really impressed by the order and the how you can be right outside of a major city, but suddenly it's like you've stepped into another world. So and in the temple compounds, there is a public hall of worship, behind which is an offering hall where priests conduct the rites, and beyond that is a sacred sanctuary that's only entered by the high priest, which is, once again, interesting that we, even here you are, you know, thousands of miles and a small ocean away from Jerusalem, and yet their temple has this concept of a place for the general public, a place for the priest, and a place for the Holy of Holies. And interesting little tie-ins that you can see there. There's some theories that are very interesting about how these religions that have been formed, these other religions that have been formed, how basically being designed by the enemy, being designed by Satan, that one of the things that these other religions that he did as these religions were conceptualized were to create mockeries of, or things that would take the place of the true religion and the worship of Almighty God. And so you start seeing things like this, and it's like, why in the world would they have that same mindset? They're not Jewish. They don't have this, and they don't even really have a good system of sacrifices. They don't know. There's nothing in particular that goes on there that can't go on anywhere else, but still they have this concept. As I said, Shintoism is one that I can say words about it, but I can't understand it. The traditional Shinto ceremonies that are relatively unchanged for thousands of years have created space. They create space for enhanced connection to the primeval life-giving forces. And they connect participants to their intuitive roots. So it's literally about being in that moment, and just the ceremonies are there so you can experience the ceremony. Pretty much it. They're meant to connect participants to the Daishin no Muguri, which I'm sure is absolutely not how you pronounce that word, so forgive me. But it's connecting participants to the ceaseless movements of great nature. So again, if you were Taoist, you would just say it connects you with the Tao. But you know, and I like this image because it kind of shows the drums, it shows the goi, the little wands there with the paper. It shows the mirror off to the other side. So it's interesting. You see all the elements of the and of course there's the other elements around that's part of their ceremony and such. It takes priests as long as 10 years just to learn the complex ceremonies for inviting the kami to dwell in the holy sanctuary. So these ceremonies are so specific. So I mean, you can see the way this guy is dressed, and everything has to be exactly perfect before they're even allowed to participate in them. They practice and practice and practice, like a martial artist would practice particular movements until those movements are exactly precise as they're supposed to be. The priesthood was originally hereditary, but now it is not necessarily hereditary, because now both men and women can be in the clergy, and it is something that you can choose to participate in. It's common for priests to be married. They're not traditionally expected to meditate. So rather than holy men, this is not, as I said, there's no real rules about ethics or morals or anything like that. The priests of Shintoism are specialists in the arts of maintaining the connection with the kami and the people. So again, the whole deal is about the ceremonies and the festivals and the routines and the rituals. There is no specific meaning to them, but they have to be done exactly as they've been done, so that when participants come in, they experience exactly what has always been done, and this puts them in the connection with these primeval spirits, these primeval forces that bring them into right alignment. And so, as I said, that it's another one of these that is a religion, because it has to do with eternal things. It has to do with things outside of man's basic nature. But it's missing several of the elements of religion, as far as having anything to do with beyond this life, or having a set of rules and regulations by which we must live. So I hope this helped you to get a little touch of Shintoism. There's 5,000 things more you can learn about it, but that's up to you if you choose to do it. So look forward to our next time together, and hope that you've found a lot of this useful and interesting.